Welcome to the Parent and School Partnership. My name is Bobby. I am so excited to be able to share with you a series about the whole college search process, taking you from 9th grade all the way to college application to hopefully acceptance. So the Parent and School Partnership, this channel exists to help you, the parent, navigate through education, taking you from pre-K all the way to graduation. In this video, we are going to be focusing on the high school years, specifically 9th and 10th grade. So what should your child be focusing on at this point entering high school years, besides getting good grades? There are some things that your child can be doing right now to help them start that whole college search process, making it just a little bit easier when it gets to choosing a college. I have the privilege of sitting down with our school counselor, Mr. Bob Brennan, and our assistant college counselor, Mrs. Susan Hawthorne. They answer some questions that you may have about this whole process. The first step starts at the end of 8th grade in preparation of the next school year. It is important that going into their 9th grade year, you and your child sit down with your school counselor to go over what the next year entails. Specifically, you want to center in on their schedule. So what would you expect in this kind of meeting with your school counselor?
Well, typically what we do is we have a session with all of them as a group at the end of 8th grade, and we even include the parents in that session to explain to them what's going to be happening in high school, what classes they will need to take for graduation, what choices they will have, how important their grades are. So we have a group session. Then each student has this individual opportunity to select their electives. And then as I put the schedules together, then I may talk to individuals about what they have selected and why it will or won't work.
Well, if your child is leaning towards a certain kind of career path, like nursing or the fine arts, is now a good time to direct them towards that path at this point in their education? In other words, should they be doing more science classes if they're thinking about going into nursing?
Typically, in most high schools, the choices come in 11th and 12th grade. Usually 9th and 10th is fairly well set. You have to take the core required, the same as in college, right? Those core courses. There may be a few choices, but 11th and 12th grade is when they'll decide whether they're going to take 4 sciences or AP classes or 4 maths or things like that, yes.
So just how important are grades in 9th and 10th grade?
Obviously, as teachers and as parents, we think grades matter all the time, but that high school transcript starts in 9th grade, and that document is what is going to be sent off to colleges, and it's going to include typically 9th, 10th, and 11th grade grades. So those 3 years are extremely important because that's the transcript that goes off to the college admissions counselors. I would love to have a nickel for every single person who came to me in 11th grade and said, "Oh, Mr. Brennan, I wish that I had worked harder in 9th and 10th grade because my GPA is not where it should be." And that's what we try to tell them before 9th grade starts so they realize how important it is.
So what does cumulative grades mean as opposed to yearly grades?
Yes, cumulative would be 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 9th, 10th, and 11th grades all together, and then an average done that shows the college counselor what that student's GPA is. Right, then there's a final transcript that's sent, and I tell my seniors that you can't, once you're accepted to college, you can't just put it in Coast and float through because another transcript goes. And I have had experience of students losing a spot in college because they decided to not study in their senior year.
So what kinds of testing happens in the early years of high school? Are there any tests that your child is going to take?
We administer the PSATs 9th, 10th, and 11th because the PSAT is a practice SAT, and we believe that the more times you take the test and practice for it, the better you'll do on it. So a lot of schools don't start the PSATs, however, until the 10th grade. And then 11th and 12th grade is when you're going to be starting to take the SATs or the ACTs. Well, 10th grade, they can start thinking about, are they going to hire a tutor? And if so, what would that schedule look like? Would they do it the summer before the 11th grade? Would they try to fit it in during the school year in 11th grade? They can also be thinking about whether they should be taking the ACT versus the SAT. But I don't think they really need to be taking the SAT or ACT until probably second semester of 11th grade.
Is there anything that you as a parent can do to start your child thinking about college or what they're going to be doing in the future?
We do some personality assessments and some career interest inventories with our 9th and 10th graders. Those aren't tests. Those are more just surveys or inventories to see where their interests might lie, how they might match up with certain careers, that type of thing we try to do at that age so that can help them start thinking in certain directions for college, for major, for career, those kind of things.
Well, shadowing experiences are always a good idea. If your student shows a particular interest in a career, parents can see if they have within their network, if they have any contacts of people that they know in that career, and see if their student can shadow that person for the day. Ask them questions about what their day is like, what their career has been like, the education that they needed to get into that career, that sort of thing. Our school and a lot of schools do have career shadowing days that the students are expected to do, but usually not until the 11th grade. So, 10th grade, that's always a good idea to do it, and to do more than one, because you might find out that the career that you thought you were interested in, you weren't interested in after all, after you actually got a chance to experience it for the day. So try it again with a different career and a different person another year.
Okay, so what do you do if your child has zero clue of what they want to do in the future?
And we have career testing, career assessments. Students can answer all these questions, and it kind of spits out a result of what your interests and what possible careers would match your skills and abilities. When students take those assessments, sometimes they will say to me, "Oh wow, this is exactly what I thought I would like." And other times they will say, "I have no idea how this result came out of the answer to my questions." I'm like, "Well, you answered the questions and that spit out the results." But it's not always right, but it does give you some food for thought and for discussion. I always contact the parents and say, "We just did these assessments. Maybe you would want to ask your child how it went and what it said, and look at it together." We use a software called Naviance. It has a bunch of different types of assessments and inventories that the students can do, and we spread those out over 9th and 10th grade for them to just begin thinking in this direction. There are other types of career testing you can do. The ASVAB, the military, gives the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. I think that's what that stands for. ACT has a career questionnaire that they do as well. And I'm sure there are ones online that you can just find for free and do as well. Yes.
So when your child gets to the point of actually applying to colleges, and I realize that's about 3.5 years from now if your child's in 9th grade, but when they get to that point, there is some information they're going to have that's readily available about what they've done at this point in their education in 9th grade. So is there anything that you can be doing now or helping your child to do now to help them gather that information, and therefore when it's time to start applying for colleges, they aren't having that overwhelming feeling of, where is all this information that I need to give colleges?
We have something called a senior biography that we hand out to the juniors at the end of the junior year. And that's for a place for them to put all of their accomplishments, the clubs they've been on, the extracurriculars they've taken part in. It's a really good idea starting in the 9th grade to really start jotting all of that down so that you remember that, you have a record of that. So by the time 11th grade comes, it's very easy to fill that out, and you have a good idea of your track record at that point.
I've started sharing the document Susan's talking about with our 9th and 10th grade families as well, and I've already started getting those responses. Can you check and see what award I won in 9th grade, and those kinds of things. So the sooner they can start keeping track, and because it's a Google Doc, it can be shared back and forth and filled in and edited. It's been a very helpful document, and Some students take advantage of it, and some students wait till the beginning of senior year and do the panic phone calls or emails.
Schools like to see that a student is a well-rounded student. Well, what does that mean? And what about the thought that a student is a jack of all trades, but a master of none? Should they mostly be focusing on school-related activities, or should they also include community activities like volunteering or being involved in their church?
I would think 9th and 10th grade would be a good time for students to try out different activities, try out for the play or for the soccer team or something like that. Then by 10th grade, you've kind of figured out what you really like. And going to your point of being a jack of all trades, colleges don't necessarily want to see that, 9th grade you're on the soccer team, 10th grade you're on the basketball team, 11th grade you're in drama. They'd rather see some of that, trying out different activities in 9th and 10th grade, and then by 11th and 12th grade they want to see consistency, that you've been on those teams for a couple of years now, and then maybe you've even made captain or co-captain. So they want to see consistency through the years and then also accomplishments in that particular sport.
I think they are looking for a well-rounded person. It's not just test scores, it's not just grades, and it's not even just school activities. Like you mentioned, activities in their church or in their community, some project that they become passionate about and that they, as Susan said, they stick with and they follow through and they take some leadership on. Those are all the kinds of things that will portray to a college admissions officer that this person isn't just sitting at home reading their textbooks every day.
So visiting colleges would be one of the best activities for you to do with your child. Is it too early to really be doing this in 9th or 10th grade?
I think we both agree that 9th grade is definitely a little too early because they're not really at the mindset to start thinking about colleges and having done enough assessments to know what they're really looking for at that point. I remember with my oldest daughter, I took her in 10th grade for a couple of college visits. And while she was interested in them and probably at the right maturity level, by 11th grade, we needed to revisit them again. It was a little bit of a waste of time and money. So I think 11th grade is really the best time to do it.
If you guys have any questions about the video that you just watched, please be sure to comment below. We would be happy to get back to you. The next video that posts is going to be all about the 11th and 12th grade years, and those years are pivotal for the whole college search process. So we've got so much information to share with you guys, so be sure to watch that. If you want to be notified, you're going to want to subscribe. So go ahead and push that red button. That will subscribe you to our channel. We're looking forward to the next video all about the 11th and 12th grade years. God bless.